California is in a massive budget deficit because they're currently giving illegal aliens free health care and instead charging billionaires tons and tons of money in taxes to be able to afford paying basic necessities. You look at stories out of LA saying now they're cutting teachers. Why can't they afford to pay their teachers in LA County? That's because they're too busy funding every single illegal alien who's crossed the border, Maria. Yeah. And that's what happens when you give all these illegal aliens driver's licenses. It isn't too much to say that I only want Americans to vote in American elections.
Yeah, absolutely. Ashley, I'm with Ashley Davis this morning. And Ashley, I wonder what you think about this idea that we could see a quote-unquote talking filibuster, where the Senate it has everybody talking about it, and that would expose who, in fact, is against having an ID to vote.
Yeah, listen, I'm for it. I actually think
John Thune said it's coming to the floor for a vote.
Absolutely. I think it comes next week. I mean, obviously, we have the budget shutdown and what happens there. But no, I'm for him actually forcing a vote, which is a step further than the talking filibuster, because then it has Democrats on record and the two Republicans that are not necessarily voting for it on record saying that they don't support this. And as Katie just mentioned, this issue is 80%. It polls at 80% in regards to the people.
83%, I think, of the people want ID to vote. But what about that, Katie? Do you feel like we could see a talking filibuster?
What's up, Aaron? Hey, Kimmy, how are you? Happy birthday again. I'll be right back. This lady bought a shitload of lottery tickets, scratchers. Oh, she won, man. Now, what's your better, California scratchers or like random tickets? Like, quick. Oh, let me check my ticket here. It's gonna lower. Left turn is smart here. just had some Yuki John this morning. It's already 7:34.
Would that achieve much?
I think the Senate needs to do more than
believes
nothing.
in voter
because
ID?
the
I do.
American people, as I've now just said, and she repeated, was that over 80%
necessary
believe this is common
to
sense
have voter
policy. And when 80% of
ID.
Americans believe in something, then our Congress should act upon it, and they should do something as it regards to passing that. And as President Trump has said, if Congress fails to act and this gets blocked in the Senate, he will take executive action to ensure our elections are sacrosanct in this country. And that is what he needs to do as Commander-in-Chief. It was point number 19 on his platform when 77 million Americans not only voted for President Trump, but the entire Republican National Committee voted for President Trump's platform at the July 2024 convention. This was point 19, was ensuring voter integrity via ensuring only Americans can vote in American elections.
Yeah, the president said he would do an executive order going into the midterms, but can he do that, or will the states push back on an executive order in that regard, Katie?
I'm sure just like everything else we've seen, every single blue state governor is going to resist and protest Trump at every single turn because they believe that's popular policy.
Yeah.
But in the end, we've seen President Trump be successful countless times, especially as issues reach the Supreme Court. And I'm sure, I don't know what they have cooking in that White House, but they cook, Maria. They know how to get it done for the American people.
Yeah, I want to get your take on the State of the Union Tuesday night, and then we can get back to Minnesota, which I want to get your take on. But several Democrats are planning to boycott the President's State of the Union on Tuesday night. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries claims he's going to be there, though. Watch what he said. Listen to this.
My current plan is to attend. We're not going to Donald Trump's house. He's coming to our house. It's my view that you don't let anyone ever run you off of your block. The two options that are in front of us in our house is to either attend with silent defiance or to not attend and send a message to Donald Trump in that fashion, which will include participation in a variety of different alternate programming that is going to take place in and around the Capitol complex.
I mean, Katie, what's the message? The economy is doing incredibly well. We're in this golden age that President Trump promised. He's actually taking down adversaries and those who are bringing drugs into the country, like Nicolas Maduro. Are you expecting Democrats to boycott the State of the Union again?
As we've seen from Democrats at the Munich Security Conference, they have no message. They aren't prepared to be leaders on the world stage. All they have left is political theater and far-left talking points to try to win over the American people, which, Maria, we've seen countless times. We know it doesn't work. The American people overwhelmingly support President Trump and his agenda because what he does is he delivers countless times, ending 8 wars, having a booming economy, having the affordability hoax just totally thrown out because he's working for the American people day in and day out. And all the Democrats have left is what, booing the president of the State of the Union as he talks about popular policies that they merit. Those are things that are bipartisan, that should be bipartisan, but that Democrats only want to resist and protest because they think that's popular with their far left wing of the base that cheer them on because that's who's giving them that infinite feedback loop.
Yeah.
And guess what? That's not middle America. That's not independence. That's just the AOC caucus.
Yeah, well, and we saw how much AOC knows about foreign policy when she was umming and awing when asked a question at the Munich Security Council conference. You're right.
What are you up to?
So you reported
How's
just
the
a few
weather
minutes
in
ago how
Albuquerque?
great the economy is doing, whether it be inflation, lowest level since May, or 130,000 jobs in the last. The president has a great story to tell. He's going to tell it on Tuesday night. No wonder they don't want to hear it.
He's going to be doing it today. He's going to Georgia later this afternoon. He's going to talk about the economy, according to Caroline Levitt, talk about affordability. And Katie, that is the thing. That is the messaging that the president and the administration have. Is the plan, do you believe, to continue to hit that economic message? Because that is what is going to be,
Do I look older?
On the ballot come November. Let's be clear.
Absolutely. We
What are we
heard this
turning
week that
60
Susie
next month?
Wiles and the top team in the White House gathered the president's cabinet to talk about how that is going to be our preeminent message going into the midterms, was talking about affordability, lowering health care prices, and what the president has done for the American people
Just got back from
in
Arizona.
terms of
Nice.
what it's done to make life more accessible and affordable for moms like myself who have kids who are going to buy groceries, who are stopping to get gas on the way home. And President Trump has made that the foremost priority of his agenda, and that's what the American people want to hear, and that's what the president and his cabinet are going to talk about going into the midterms, because that's a winning issue, and that isn't divisive. It should be bipartisan, but yet as we saw from AOC and these far-left Democrats traveling all the way to Germany to slam our law enforcement, or for AOC not being able to identify a single policy issue in China or Taiwan. You know, Maria, I bet you she can't even determine where Taiwan is on a map. She probably thinks it's next to Argentina, the same way she thinks Venezuela is below the equator.
Yeah.
So that's what the Democrats have in contrast to President Trump.
Yeah, when I saw that in terms of her answering a question, which is a very viable question, you know, what will the U.S. do when and if China goes into Taiwan? But she had no answers. By the way, the meeting at the White House was led by Susie Wiles. We're told most of the cabinet members were there, like Scott Bassett and Howard Lutnick, RFK, Sean Duffy, along with other senior aides, and apparently it went on for 2 hours talking about what the president is going to focus on, all the wins that he's going to focus on Tuesday night. Well, I get your take on Minnesota, because Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey are demanding the federal government reimburse the state and city for costs tied to the recent DHS immigration enforcement actions. Governor Walz is proposing a $10 million relief package for small business, which he says is feeling the effects of President Trump's immigration crackdown. The push following reports that up to $18 billion was stolen from Minnesota social services programs, all allegedly linked to Somali immigrant communities, Katie. So, you know, they're trying to, I guess, play on the fact that the operation in Minnesota has ended and just sweeping up all that fraud under the rug, Katie.
Simply $9 billion of Somali fraud was not enough for Tim Walz and Jacob Frey. No, they have to add 10 million more in fraud that is going to go to these small businesses, because they still have yet to get under control how the fraud happened in the first place, and how these government workers were just doling out candy left and right without any checks whatsoever. Yet here they are wanting to do 10 million more in funds to them. It's enough already, Maria.
Yeah.
You know what? All ICE did was try to save the community money by deporting people who have no right or legal right to be in our country as charged by U.S. Congress. If they don't like the laws and they should change them, they should not just sit there and cry and cry and cry over President Trump enforcing the laws that are on our books.
Absolutely.
And that's what he's doing.
All right, Katie, we will see you on the Katie Miller podcast. Thanks so much for being here this morning. We'll see you soon. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Good evening, beautiful people, and happy Wednesday. If you have not heard, millions of taxpayer dollars in Michigan have been funneled into nonprofits who have weak or no accountability at all. And some of those organizations may have even used that money for purposes completely unrelated to taxpayers' intended goals. Republican Senator Eric Nesbitt is now asking the U.S. Department of Justice to investigate. Senator Nesbitt, who's running for governor, says there's a pattern of misuse of public funds and federal grants flowing to nonprofits tied to state agencies, and he wants federal investigators to start investigating. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Nellie Miranda.
Did you hear that? Turn them doors again a little better. As you can see, it's cloudy. It's overcast
Eric
in LA.
Nesbitt has asked the Justice Department to look into several Dearborn nonprofits that receive state and federal aid. In a letter to the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, Nesbitt questioned whether the National Association for Yemeni Americans and the Arab Community Center for Economic and Social Services, also known as Access, used funds to assist undocumented immigrants. Access released a statement saying they abide by the laws that govern nonprofits, and they always welcome congressional oversight as a tool of accountability. Nesbitt is also a Republican candidate for governor.
As always, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Okay, so Senator wants grants administered under Governor Gretchen Whitmer's administration to nonprofits in Dearborn like Access Michigan and the National Association of Yemeni Americans, organizations that receive millions of taxpayer dollars, by the way. he wants them investigated. There are allegations that the community help funds might have been used outside of their intended scope, including illegal services for individuals not legally in the U.S. And there are real concerns about weak oversight by the state agencies that distributed the grants.
Tonight, State Senate Republican leader Eric Nesbitt is asking the federal government to take a closer look at two nonprofits in Dearborn. The candidate for governor claims there are potential financial irregularities and misuse of taxpayer funds. But tonight, the nonprofits are pushing back, asking, where's the proof? Lauren Kostick is uncovering more on this story tonight. So, Lauren, you spoke with the senator. What do you have to tell you?
Well, Damon, he tells me this letter is just a way to make sure taxpayer money is not being mishandled. But the nonprofits that are listed in this letter were caught off guard, telling me they have nothing to hide.
This is just a common sense thing of making sure, let's make sure the books are open.
On Wednesday,
what do you say your money
Republican leader Eric
vacation?
Nesbitt sent a letter to the U.S. Attorney General, raising concerns about the oversight and use of taxpayer money. The candidate for governor called out several Michigan agencies and two Dearborn nonprofits, Access and the National Association of Yemeni Americans, saying recent state oversight efforts uncovered red flags. Do you feel like there is legitimate proof here that there is these allegations of fraud?
They haven't been filing their IRS tax forms on time, that it seems that, on their own websites, they're saying they're giving services to illegal immigrants.
I am the only one in the left turn lane.
Access, the nation's largest Arab American community nonprofit, says they're in full compliance with funding requirements. In a statement saying, like Senate Republican leader Eric Nesbitt, a candidate for Michigan governor,
plane tickets, where are you going to?
Michiganders deserve a government that consistently puts families first, as we have effectively done for 55 years. We also spoke with the CEO of the National Association of Yemeni Americans. He called the letter uncalled for and inaccurate. Still, Nesbitt believes a thorough review is needed.
Well, let's make sure that that's the case. And
Orlando, nice.
Story after story where that
what month are you going to Orlando?
We also reached out to the state agency.
Are you planning on going to Disney World?
They declined to comment. As for what's next, the senator said the DOJ did confirm they got this letter and they plan to review it.
Well, of course, the nonprofits themselves deny any wrongdoing. They claim that they are in compliance and have regular audits. They say that they have followed all the rules, but one group's defense doesn't absolve the lack of transparency, especially when citizens have hard-earned tax dollars on the line. What Nesbitt is really pointing out is what every taxpayer
Burn it all down.
If you buy something,
Stream 7, wow.
you deserve to know what you got in return.
Here's no way to $9 billion surplus now. Well, it's gone. Gretchen Whitmer, she blew it. Now she wants more from you.
Cool,
She's
cool.
asking for
Nice.
an $88 billion budget.
Nice
When
to
she
hear
became
that.
governor, it was $56 billion. Since she's become governor in 2019, the state spent about $512 billion. Yet at the same time, we've repaired less than 10% of our roads. Our education scores have plummeted. Our unemployment has risen to the second highest in the nation. Median family income's in the bottom 10. The average family makes less than $9,000 than the average family nationally, and we have nothing to show for it. $500 billion. All while we've learned that her office helped her friend's fake charity get a $20 million grant, that one of her own appointees actually pled guilty to stealing from the child care system. Now, after blowing a $500 billion, she wants us to believe that the answer to our problem is to let her raise your taxes again. Take more money from your pocket to pay for another spending spree. My response? Hell no.
Fraud in nonprofits that receive government funds.
I've never
has
been to
happened all
Orlando.
across the country. From pandemic feeding programs in Minnesota that allegedly milked taxpayers out of hundreds of millions of dollars, to big charts showing nonprofit executives stealing from charities in Washington, D.C. and elsewhere.
Santa
So
Monica
when Nesbitt
Freeway.
says that Gretchen Whitmer is wasting taxpayer dollars, he is simply warning taxpayers of the lack of oversight and carelessness of how taxpayer money is spent.
I understand Gretchen Whitmer appointed a Nigerian to oversee a similar type of situation in Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, there was a partner of Gretchen Whitmer that just got charged with $1.5 million of stealing money from the state. That's going to court. There's a former Democrat treasurer that was just House Republicans found thousands of what we call ghost employees. They're employees that were funded, that were never hired, that were never actually put into the field, and yet there was money that was still going out. It's wrong. It needs to end.
And these are not isolated cases.
Yeah,
of
that
fraud
Tesla was
happening in
definitely
Michigan.
quick.
Independent journalist Jack has been investigating the fraud taking place in adult foster care homes. Once again, a case of billing taxpayers for services
Who you're paying
never
respects
provided.
to, Kim?
The thing is that we noticed is we've hit a few other locations today. We've knocked on the door and there's just no response. So if this house is registered, it's patient, and all the other ones are too. There's no one there to check how that works.
And there's been some reporting just recently this week from other news that's saying that there's these adult foster care. These are folks that are supposed to be taking care of folks that can't take care of themselves, adults with behavioral health issues, and there was reporters that started going around asking questions. Empty buildings, Nigerian immigrants who couldn't answer any questions, folks not knowing where the money's actually going. This is wrong. This needs to end because we know every tax dollar that's taken out of the pocket of working families here in Michigan means it's more expensive for Michigan families to actually make it here in Michigan. We're fighting this waste, fraud, and abuse. Last month I pushed to have a full audit of our child care system here in Michigan, making sure that every dime's actually going to provide good child care to hardworking families. I'm sorry, but the Governor Whitmer is governor and Dana Nessel is Attorney General here in Michigan. The waste, fraud, and abuse just continues to grow, and we have to stop it. We have to hold people accountable. So,
I mean, seriously, government should spend taxpayer money more wisely, and transparency should be non-negotiable. Any nonprofit receiving public funding should be held to the highest standard with no special treatment because an organization is well connected
it's been a long time
politically.
since we've eaten
It
a
does
Jack
not
in
matter
the
if the
box.
organization's mission sounds good. If state or federal money is involved,
The
taxpayers
ultimate
should
cheeseburger is
know
one of my
exactly
favorites.
how it is being used. But let's go back to Jack's reporting.
All right, so we're here at the ADA headquarters. They have about a dozen adult disabled healthcare homes in their network. We came to check it out. Completely empty offices, and they get over hundreds of thousands of dollars. How many homes are there in this area?
I don't know.
You're not familiar with that? Okay. Are you guys familiar with receiving over $600,000 in 2023 in grants from the government?
That's crazy.
So this is a adult foster care facility, Moylan Manor. Just another one under the umbrella. Unsure of how much they're getting in funding quite yet. We submitted a FOIA request, so hopefully we hear back on that soon. But this is just one of dozens underneath this Josephine chick. So we're gonna keep going to the next locations. No one answered, which you think, you know, it's 4 o'clock on a Friday, that they'd be bumping, especially if they have, you know, disabled adults in there. You think they'd have, you know, some sort of people on staff at all times. But here we are, 2 hours getting federal funding, and there's no.
At 4 p.m. in the afternoon, residents should be playing bingo in the living room, watching and waiting for dinner. The fraud in America, especially with social services programs, is through the roof. I think some people start these businesses initially with good intentions, then the opportunity to fraudulently enrich themselves consumes them. We see this happen time and time again, where big government creates complex funding streams, and without fail, most get abused. But the difference between conservatives and left-leaning politicians is the response to the fraud. Conservatives demand audits, investigations, accountability, and the left-leaning politicians tend to say, there's nothing to see here. We're handling it on our own. We've already set up audits to be taking place. We don't need excuses. We need accountability, and that's exactly why Nesbitt's call for a DOJ probe should be taken seriously and swiftly. Just last week, a 46-year-old man named Samar Kamo from Shelby Township pleaded guilty to conspiracy, wire fraud, and bank fraud for exploiting the PPP loan program. He and his co-conspirators submitted false payroll information and fake payroll bank and tax documents to collect nearly $2.5 million in tax-guaranteed PPP funds. Funds that were supposed to sustain legitimate small businesses. He will now be serving a light sentence of 3 years in federal prison in order to pay back $2.4 million in restitution. So that's it. 36 months for deliberately stealing $2.5 million of taxpayer dollars. So what do you think? Should every nonprofit receiving taxpayer money be subject to mandatory yearly federal audits? And what should be the minimum sentence someone received for defrauding taxpayers to the tunes of millions of dollars? But before we wrap up, I just want to say our website is up with merch that reflects the conversation we are having here. The designs are simple, clean, and intentional. And if you want to support the show and wear something that actually says something like, "Where is the oversight?" or "This could have been an audit," please head over to NellyMiranda.com and order some merch. And a sincere thank you to all of you who have ordered so far. And as always, if you got any value from this video, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. And ring the bell so you don't miss any future updates. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
What's that? Give me water to drain down. That's crazy. Woohoo! Damn. About who? Who passed away? Talking about Camel Dave? Oh, you're talking about Adam the Woo? Yeah, I heard he passed away. Yeah, I really watched a lot of his videos. He liked a lot of the theme parks too. He was into that stuff. But yeah, he's Adam Woo, man. Yeah, he was too young, man. He was younger than me. Change lanes or what? Yeah, he's younger than you. Yeah, I was too young to die. That's why nowadays I'm like not taking life for granted, you know. Especially when you pass 50 years old, the more you get older, you know, the more grateful you are as far as being alive, because you know you can't take your health for granted, especially if you've got chronic illnesses. body. They're honking. Something about LA, I don't know why they're honking. They're just honk and honk. This guy's pretending to be too close. That was a huge RV right there, man. That was great. So I guess the wind is coming. Storm Burger is on the left. What a name for a burger place, Storm Burger. Looks like a gas station, actually. Circus Liquor. There's a clown. What a name for a liquor store, Circus Liquor. So I'm on La Brea, this is Inglewood. Porto Nuevo. $9.85 for a large pizza. You know, Patrick's Day's passed by. I didn't even hear anything about it. It's really weird. That's weird. I thought I would hear something about Patrick's Day. Just turned 55, I know, yeah. 55. Can't drive 55. $55 is good years, 55. That's awesome. You're gonna live to be old, Kimia. You're gonna be in your 90s. At the stop sign, take a left on Eucalyptus. Oh shit. Big ass pothole. And we're raising cameras down this area, man. It's fucked up. People don't want to drink this late at night. There she is, man. This lady that got wants the alcohol. No, that's okay, no worries. No problem. Let me just, $40. Alright. That lady didn't realize she ordered alcohol all the way from Korea. Now, some people that order do DoorDash, they don't know where the hell they're ordering from. But she did admit that she realized after she placed the order, she's like, whoa, I didn't realize I placed it so far. It's kind of ridiculous, really. this area. I don't want to be doing it in this area for sure. No. Not this area. She's living all the way down here in the wood, huh? Hey, what's up, Joe? What's going on, man? How are you doing? Just made a delivery down in Inglewood. As you can see, it's a little bit overcast today. It's supposed to rain this morning until about, hopefully until about 11. So, how's the weather over in Moses? Hey, did it snow in Moses this year? I don't think it did. That's really weird. Do you think 2025, 2026 is one of the few years that it doesn't snow? Because I was up there in Moses and it didn't. It was cold, but it didn't seem like it was cold enough to snow yet. Yeah. I don't mind visiting the snow, but to hang out and be around it a lot, no. It's just complicated. Yeah, I was just thinking about that, Joe. No snow, man. Good to hear from you. How you doing, man? How are you feeling nowadays? I saw what's his name? Don Williams post something on Facebook. He just turned 60. We're gonna be in the 60 club, man. The 60s are like the 40s to me, man. Although your body doesn't feel like it, though, huh? You feel like you're in your, oh shit, that was very good. I was supposed to make a right there. Holy shit. Alright, so let's see what I'm 67. Yeah, I did the lake even freeze over too? I don't think it did. My sister just came down from Moses. It was kind of cool. She was going to hang out with her brother-in-law over in Palm Springs. All right, this is difficult because right here. Okay, because there's no light. Okay, what is this? I think this is the bridge right here. Yeah, this is the bridge. Okay, so I'm gonna. Oh, there's that Stormburger place. What an interesting name for a burger, Stormburger. So I'm down here in Inglewood. This is close to the airport a little bit. This lady's jogging on the street. She's in good shape. Thank you. Thank you, Kimia. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, I guess we'll do this one. What's today? Wednesday. Really? Damn. Yeah, I'd rather spend time in Moses when it's in the summertime when it's nicer out, or in the spring or fall. It's the winters are just so freaking harsh, man. You can't really do anything, especially when you get older. You're not. I think the cold weather to going outside and stuff is a little bit harder on your body. I take the upper 80-degree weather, the cold weather. People are still trying to fish on that ice. Wow, that's crazy. in Moses? What are they going to catch, though? I don't. Can you catch bass at this time of the year? That's crazy, man. What is this place? Sloss and Grill. It's kind of interesting how they have all these eateries around here. There's a health food restaurant right across the street. That place looks like it may be run down. Sashi Teriyaki House. I don't know. Jerusalem Chicken. Oh, people are trying to turn left here. Oh, man. Let's see, what street am I on? Man, that's too much of a wait to turn left. Jesus. Fuck it up. I'll just take Slauson to Western or whatever. Oh, on the I-90 bridge, yeah. Oh, wow. Really, that's crazy. Yeah, it's too bad they don't make Moses more of a tourist place, huh? Like, especially along the shores of Moses Lake, they can make it really nice. Where there's like all those businesses are, like where Michael's is at, like they could really make that into a really nice trendish, like on the lake type of experience. Maybe have like a better path for walking. People can walk along the lake, you know. What do you think, Joe? You think they should do that? Because it would definitely draw a lot of tourists in the summertime. So here I am driving along Slauson, going back to Koreatown, LA. Looks like the sprinkling has stopped. I think there's a Randy's Donuts, but I think it's the other way. I don't know if you guys watch Benny Johnson, but there was a Randy's Donuts. There's an apartment building going up on the left side. Let's see how this is Crenshaw right here. Maybe I should take Crenshaw. Yeah, I think I'll take Crenshaw. Crenshaw's good. Well, I'll take Western. I'll take Western, I think, yeah. Let's get that light. Louisiana fried chicken. Fitness, Vallarta Markets. Wait, same thing, Vermont? What is that saying? West. I think my GPS is suggesting I take Vermont Avenue to go north instead of Western. I don't know why it's suggesting that. Maybe because there's a lot of traffic. Could be. Yeah, this is a nice street. Not too much traffic, which is good. Tacos not open. Oh, that's where this little tacos are. It's kind of like a hole in the wall place. I just drove by that place. It's Jack in the Box. Oh, I've been out here before. Yeah, I know this area now. I've been canvassing out this area before. Moby Jack fish sandwich. 99-cent Taco Tuesday. Yeah, that's one thing that my sister and my brother-in-law were saying, is that they don't really have any good Mexican food in Moses Lake. I wanted to come to Moses and do a in search of the best tacos in Moses. See how they compare to down here in LA. That would be cool. Wow, they're giving out $5.50 per order in LA. It's crazy. Until 19. Wow, it's crazy. It's insane. Pollo Campero. It's pretty good. Had that for a while. Food for less. Yeah, they closed those big lots. I don't think big lots are open anymore. They close all the big lots and the Rite Aid. Yeah, this is the hood right here, man. Look at that gas station. This is crazy. The ghetto of LA. There was a streamer that got $5,000 worth of donation in Naira from Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast gave her a $5,000 donation. That's pretty awesome. So shout out to Mr. Beast. Shout out to Asmund Gold too. Kind of in the mood for burrito again. Answer letters 210. I don't know, man. I'll have to look. See what's going on. Oh, here's Burger King right here. Enchiladas 18. That's funny. Oh man. I'll check it out. Enchiladas 810. All right, Kimmy, good seeing you. Thanks for hanging out. Have a wonderful day, and good luck on saving money for your Orlando trip. I hope your kitty's doing good. Okay, so we're at King Boulevard. Jack's Family Cafe. There's a library down here too. I think it's right across the store. Yeah, it's right across the street from this liquor store. Yeah, Modern Liquor, and there's a library right across the street. So go and get your liquor, have a one of those small ones, and then go into the library. Guy's got his cowboy hat on. That is the Metro. That's the Metro Rail. It goes all the way to USC. Food Market.
Mel Gibson. This guy had a crazy crash out. And it turns out that he was right about a few things, huh? He was right about maybe more than a few things, as a matter of fact. I find that to be interesting. That's crazy. Wow, what are the odds of that?
Mel Gibson's been trying to warn everyone about the elites for years, and in particular Hollywood itself.
Believe me, I did a lot of research on it. And according to all the research, it was way worse than that.
No matter how strong you are going to be affected by this plague. And you'll resent it for a little while, then you have to let it go. Otherwise, you'll eat yourself alive.
today, people are finally waking up to what he saw.
It turns out all he got wrong was the city. Yeah, so he was just telling the truth. Yeah.
Years ago. And the message he gave us would eventually
blacklisted in Hollywood.
His life.
He's pat my side of the head. You get hit by a packet, it'll be your fault.
Yet, back in the 1980s, Gibson was so successful, he was operating at a level where studios would greenlight whatever he wanted. In 1996, Braveheart swept the Oscars, 5 wins, including Best Picture and Best Director. Gibson stood on that stage and called himself a fiscal imbecile.
And they had no problem with giving the reins to a fiscal imbecile. You know, this takes real courage.
And everyone laughed because he made them all very rich. But if you were paying attention around then, there were signs he saw Hollywood very differently than most people who'd made it to his level. In 1998, Playboy did an interview. 1998. All the usual promotional stuff about whatever film he was selling. He said something that did raise some eyebrows. He talked about a producer, but he wouldn't name him, whose entire philosophy about women on film was this.
He says, women on film? Either naked or dead. Both is better.
Then he kept on going.
You know, I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And I formed a bunch of opinions about the town.
Man.
About the people in it that were like, surely that couldn't be.
There's no way.
The whole place can't be like, you know, weird town, you know, where the stranger wanders in and all the people are in the bar and they all shut up when he looks at them. And then you go away and you think, no, I was wrong. I mean, that's insane thinking. I'm paranoid. I imagined that stuff. And then you find out later on the track that you are exactly on track. With a lot of this stuff.
They ask him about the social contract in Hollywood, and Gibson explains.
You can't get mad. You can't let it get you. Because you have to make a deal with everyone else, and it's almost unspoken that you are going to be over at some point by people who you may have done something nice for.
He also tells a surreal story about meeting Christopher Walken on a New York rooftop, which he's obviously dramatizing, but if you don't take it at face value, it does tell you something about the almost otherworldly nature of Hollywood from the outsider's perspective.
No, he came to see me on a rooftop in New York. I said, hey, can I talk to you? And he said, sure. He floated in, sideways, through a crowd of people. He was wearing black. And it was like one of those old vampire movies where they don't walk, but they glide. And he was a dancer, you know, so he has very, you know, graceful. And my assistant was there, and he left because he couldn't stand it anymore. The air had turned cold.
This was when Gibson was in the spotlight 24/7, and he was already letting on about some of the industry's practices. He was trying to articulate something that had remained unspoken. His reputation was very much a lovable rogue or a loose cannon, so nobody really paid attention at the time. He was also making everyone way too rich for them to bother with what he was saying in a magazine interview.
No, people might not remember, like, this guy was like, any movie that he was in, everybody went to see it. Like, he was like the biggest movie star. Like, I remember whenever The Patriot came out, Braveheart, like, holy fuck. Everybody was Signs. No, not Signs. Was it Signs? Yeah, I think it was Signs. Like, yeah, megastar. He was the biggest.
But maybe he could see it.
Lethal Weapon, I forgot about that.
Wasn't made in Hollywood the way most people at his level were. He wasn't some Nepo or Hollywood adjacent. His family moved from New York to Australia when he was just 12 after his dad won a workplace injury settlement. He had no connections and no industry parents carefully managing his rise.
See, that's right, bro. Like, this guy just made it out the mud. Actually, literally, because it's Australia.
Studied acting because his sister filled out the application without telling him. Then Mad Max turned him into a global star before he even learned how the system truly functioned. Mad Max came in clutch, and it happened in the most Mel Gibson way ever. He'd been in a bar fight the day before the interview he didn't even want to go to, and his
fucking legend. Absolute fucking legend.
Face was all bruised and swollen. He looked like the perfect post-apocalyptic tough guy, and not long after, he got the job. Mad Max absolutely smashed the box office, and he became a star. Relocating to Hollywood was just the next logical step. So the peculiar thing here is that by the time he showed up in LA for the film Lethal Weapon, he was already famous.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, because it wasn't even Mad Max at the beginning, it was The Road Warrior. And then after that, it was Mad Max, and then I think after that was Thunderdome. I think that's what. There might have been another one, but I'm not sure.
It's because he didn't owe anyone. He didn't have to spend.
Because the thing is that, I was a big fan of Fist of the North Star. I love the anime. I think it's amazing, right? Kenshiro is fucking a G. I didn't realize, because I thought, oh, well, like, JoJo just copied Fist of the North Star, and Fist of the North Star was the OG. Nah, bro. Like, Fist of the North Star was Mad Max. It was the original Mad Max. 1 for 1. Especially the villains.
Figuring out which executives to flatter or when to shut up and smile. Most people who make it to Gibson's level learned early that you treat the industry like a religion. You never forget that access requires submission. Gibson missed that entire education. But he did have some very real personal problems that began to unravel. His drinking is getting worse. His marriage is falling apart. His behavior is bordering on too eccentric, posing a risk for those around him. He also began making a name for himself as a homophobe and anti-Semite after a series of drunk conversations.
Yeah, that Jew stuff, bro.
Then he decides he's going to make a movie that's basically designed to detonate.
That's crazy, right? You believe that? And so, I've told this before. My mom probably took me to 3 movies in my life. The only one that I really remember, Passion of the Christ. That was the one, and she said, we're going to watch this in movie theaters. And I remember whenever we went there, it was a bunch of other fucking moms, Catholic moms with their kids, and the theater was so packed, we had to sit up in the front and go like this. We had to go like this the whole time. I remember that so well.
2002, he was planning a film about Jesus getting tortured, initially planning to shoot it entirely in Aramaic and Latin, dead languages that nobody can really understand. He didn't even want subtitles for it. So he starts taking meetings, Fox, Universal, Warner Bros, Disney, every major studio, 7 in total, and none are interested whatsoever. I
wonder why.
Part of it is about the commercial concern, but there's something else making studios nervous before he's even shot a single frame. The Anti-Defamation League, an American charity targeting anti-Semites, gets hold of an early script and immediately starts raising the alarm. The National
Passion relies on the theme of anti-Semitism. Man. That's crazy.
Director of the Anti-Defamation League said, quote, by all appearances, Mr. Gibson has moved ahead with his plans to base his film based on the traditional passion play narrative that blames Jews for the killing of Jesus. For those who... We'll see this film, the poisonous accusation that the Jews were responsible for the killing of Jesus will be unambiguous and clear. Gibson's already got baggage here. His father was a Holocaust denier, and when pressured, he said that my dad taught me my faith and I believe what he taught me. The man never lied to me in his life. So the criticism starts building. New York Times critic Frank Rich questions whether the film could fuel anti-Semitism. Gibson's response.
Oh yeah, people went so hard as fuck against this. Like, I remember this movie was so controversial. It was more controversial than Cuties. And I want y'all to think about that. So Cuties was a Netflix like movie that basically had like a bunch of young girls sexualizing themselves, and it was weird, right? But it was more controversial than that. What are the odds of that? Well, actually, they're pretty high. It's like 100%. But yeah, that's what happened.
He tells the New Yorker, I want to kill him. I want his intestines on a stick. I want to kill his dog.
Fuck. Then Gibson explained his feelings about Rich. Is that right?
So this man is kind of losing control, and every studio is watching it build into a PR nightmare. The funding dries up rapidly after that, and he practically becomes a laughingstock. He's putting his entire reputation in Hollywood on this movie. South Park then catches the zeitgeist with The Passion of the Jew. Stan and Kenny see the film, hate it, call it a snuff film, and track down Gibson for a refund. Their version of Gibson is completely unhinged. A masochistic lunatic running around shooting guns and literally defecating on people. Gibson's response at the time was defiance. He self-finances the entire production.
Paid for the entire fucking thing $30 million of his own money. And this was in like the early 2000s. So like the equivalent of this is like $100 million. But he went so hard on this. It was crazy.
Mortgaging property, coming up with $45 million.
Oh, 45! Oh my God!
Out of his own pocket. If this bombs, he's then personally destroyed.
Yep.
So the film opens on Ash Wednesday, 2004.
Man, I remember that's crazy. I think back on that. Yeah.
Critics are split. There are massive protests outside theaters, but also massive lines of people wanting to see it. It then goes on to gross $83 million in its opening weekend, and goes on to make $612 million worldwide.
There's a lot of Christians out there. That's crazy. Today's Ash Wednesday today? Wait, is it really? I didn't even know that. As I said, I put it down. If the Pope funds a crusade for us to go and protect the Christians in Africa, I go back to Mass. That's my line in the sand. That's where I'm at. In Africa, I go back to Mass. That's crazy. Today's Ash Wednesday today? Wait, is it really? I didn't even know that. As I said, I put it down. If the Pope funds a crusade for us to go and protect the Christians in Africa, I go back to Mass. That's my line in the sand. That's where I'm at.
Grossing R-rated film at the time, Gibson then personally walks away with somewhere between $400 and $475 million.
And that's what really made the hoes mad. That's what really made them mad. Is the fact that they all went against him. This guy went all in, literal leap of faith. $45 million of his own money in 2003, 2004, I forgot what it said. I think it said 2004. He did all of this. And then he made $400 fucking million.
I'll be back later.
That's what really made them mad.
See, Joe, give me a.
That's what pissed them off.
Aaron.
So from the industry's perspective, he has now made...
Because it shows a crack in the matrix. It shows a crack in the fabric of